The Nevada Supreme Court settled a pre-election legal challenge filed by the Republican Party.
Yeah, the case involved the mail-in ballot deadlines and whether those ballots should be counted if they don't have a postmark. Steve Wolford breaks down that ruling.
The Nevada Supreme Court upheld a lower court ruling in Carson City that mail-in ballots received by 5 p.m. 3 days after Election Day have to be counted, even if they don't have a postmark.
It was the interpretation of law that we took from the previous Secretary of State, Barbara Sagaski. She took that interpretation, applied it as she felt necessary with the advice of counsel. We have followed that guidance.
Nevada Secretary of State Cisco Aguilar on a state Supreme Court ruling that he says will prevent voters from being disenfranchised if their ballot reaches election headquarters without a postmark up to 3 days after Election Day.
When you think about the fundamental right to vote and the fact that it's guaranteed to our citizens in the Constitution, you have to err on the side assuming that it's for the benefit of the voter. It's not the voter's fault whether or not the ballot gets postmarked.
In its 5-2 decision, the majority ruled the GOP plaintiffs had no standing.
It is standing and then basically proof of actual harm, which is part of standing, or likely harm. And they just said, RNC, you don't have standing.
Attorney Matt Hoffman says that means showing the Republican Party would have to expend additional resources to monitor mail-in ballots that arrive after Election Day when the GOP would be doing that anyway. And
the second part says you have to show that you, the RNC, are disproportionately harmed by this law. In other words, basically show us evidence that this favors Democrats more than Republicans.
But in doing so, Hoffman says the majority paid little attention to Section 1 of the statute, which says a mail-in ballot must be clearly postmarked.
The majority reached a different conclusion and said it was ambiguous, and we need to look beyond the plain language of the statute. And that's where the disagreement was amongst most of the justices.
Hoffman says it might still be possible for the GOP or the Democratic Party, for that matter, to bring this case back after the election if they could show they were harmed by the ruling. But for now, mail-in ballots received within 3 days after Election Day will count postmark, smudged postmark, or no postmark. Back to you.